First, you're allowed to make one wish of your choice. Second, you are only allowed one wish per day. Third, you aren't allowed to reveal my existence to anyone. Today on the Comic Book Report, Donald Duck, Magic and Mayhem from Fantagraphics. Stick around and check it out. Greetings everyone, my name is Dominic and today you're tuning in to the Comic Book Report, where we review comic books and graphic novels so you can get an idea of what to read. And today I'm bringing you a comic collection courtesy of Fantagraphics. We're going to be diving into the world of everyone's favorite duck. We're going to be looking at Donald Duck, Magic and Mayhem. This little hardcover edition came out or is coming out shortly, and it really showcases a fun modern Donald Duck story all involving a wish-granting genie. It's a lot of fun, and honestly, I had a blast making my way through it recently. A huge thank you again to those at Fantagraphics for sending over this review copy in exchange for an honest review. And now let's go ahead and get started with today's comic book review. First, some quick facts about today's collection. The issues in this volume has a story by Alberto Savini, translated by Daniela Mitica. The dialogue was by Joe Torcivia and penciled by Vitali Mangiatordi, Matthias Serraz, Emilio Urbano, and more. The volume itself was published by Fantagraphic Books in 2025. The volume itself collects Donald Duck, Magic and Mayhem. And finally, this is a digest-sized hardcover edition with nice glossy print paper stock, a sewn binding, and a total of 116 pages. At this time, I'd like to go ahead and issue a general spoiler warning. I will be flipping through the contents of today's collection and commenting on plot points throughout. You've been advised. Okay, and here's our first dedicated look at the front cover for this little digest-sized hardcover from Fantagraphics. Love the art direction we have here, some great depiction of Donald Duck and some of his core cast of characters in this adventure, and this is also to help commemorate his 90th anniversary that just passed. Really a fun little modern collection for Donald Duck. The spine, I have to say, is one of my favorites. I love that kind of yellowy orange color we have for the field of the spine. We have Disney up top, we have Donald Duck, Magic and Mayhem, the stylized fonts all beautiful. We do have that Fantagraphics logo at the bottom. It's just crisp, clean, does the job. And again, the color choices here, I just think it was really well done by Fantagraphics. The back cover of this hardcover definitely mixes it up with some splashes of blue here, which I loved. We have some great blurbs about the collection, some pricing information, things like that. We have a beautiful image of Donald Duck in front of like a porthole or something. Really, really like it. It's inviting. It gives you a feel for the adventures that we're going to have, which I really liked. Overall, the graphic design here and everything by Fantagraphics I thought was top notch. And now for all you prospective collectors out there, a quick look at the binding for this hardcover. Like I said, I believe this is a sewn binding. My copy laid down fairly well, and I'm happy to report with all the white edges and borders around the panels, there was very little gutter loss in this collection, at least in my reading. I had absolutely no complaints again about this binding, but I just wanted to showcase it all for you. And now, because I think it's sort of festive and fun, I'm going to show that Magic and Mayhem collection next to Fantagraphics' other release showcasing Donald Duck's 90th anniversary. This is another great hardcover collection that's quite a bit larger. I'm actually making my way through this volume as I record this, so I will plan to do a full review on this other book sometime in the future if you're interested. But I'd just like to show them off. Obviously, the other 90th anniversary collection is quite a bit larger, and that's sort of an anthology showcase through different eras of Donald Duck's prestigious comic history. That is really just kind of a fun sampling of different stories, whereas Magic and Mayhem is a newer published story specifically for the 90th anniversary. It's a modern Donald Duck sequence of tales. Both really have their merit, but I just wanted to showcase some of what Fantagraphics has for this anniversary. Now, I did bring out some other books to do some size comparisons. I have my deluxe edition of Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, which is the height of an oversized hardcover or omnibus edition, and then I do have a standard size trade paperback for Ultimate X-Men by Peach Momoko. I have done reviews for both of these other books if you are interested, but for the sake of this video, I just brought out some familiar format size so you can see how Magic and Mayhem stacks up. I do call it a digest size, but that's really my shorthand for anything smaller than a standard size, paperback, hardcover, or floppy single issue comic. But again, I just brought these out to do a size comparison just so you can get a sense of the scale. Again, I'm not coming out with a ruler for this, but just holding them up to some of the other collections just to give you a peek. And again, my other reviews are available for these other books in case you're curious. Okay, and without further ado, we can go ahead and dive into the collection. And first and foremost, when you open the collection up, you're greeted to some beautiful end pages. Some of my favorite I've ever seen. You get little comic strips here. After that, we have a title page, kind of the publication information page. We have little intros, kind of excerpts about the collection. Another kind of title page, table of contents kind of stuff. And then we jump right into the meat of the collection with the actual comics. If I haven't said so already, this is a hardcover without any kind of dust jacket, and I think I noted it earlier on, but this is actually a translated work. I believe it originally came out in Italian, if I'm not mistaken. Don't quote me on that, but it was translated into English. Now, what this collection is, it has one larger overarching story, but each individual kind of issue or sub-story within this volume, I think there's maybe 4 or 5, but each of those little issues or vignettes tell their own kind of isolated story, but it all serves this kind of bigger story, and you'll see what I mean in a second. But along the way, we do have some different artistic talent here, as I talked about earlier. But yes, a very, very fun collection here. So what is Donald Duck, Magic and Mayhem? In addition to be kind of to commemorate the 90th anniversary, we get a fun Donald Duck story that showcases some of our favorites like Scrooge McDuck, Daisy, his nephews Huey, Dewey, and Louie, and so many more. But the main central story device and kind of narrative that drives all of the vignettes is that Donald comes into possession of a kind of magic phone app that grants him a genie. The genie has 3 rules I outlined at the start of this video. It's something like 1 wish a day, he can't tell anyone, and I can't remember the 3rd rule. But anyway, he basically has this magic genie in the form of a phone app. This comes for him after his whole house burns down in a tragic house fire, after he tries to practice cooking for a cooking competition. So his first wish kind of undoes that damage, and then after that, each of these vignettes takes a random day in his life and how he gets a wish, and kind of ultimately how he's sort of foiled by his own wish. None of these wishes really work out for him, but he learns meaningful lessons, at least apparently, and we get some really fun showcasing of some of his secondary and tertiary characters. I really liked the irony in this collection, and I think overall it really felt like Donald Duck, the character I've known and loved all of these years. I think having that central device of the genie that grants wishes was a fun thing to give Donald Duck, but of course in true Donald style it never quite works out, does it? I'm going to be jumping around a little bit as far as my plot overviews here, but I just want to showcase a couple of the stories or issues within this collection that I particularly enjoyed. We had one wish that basically Donald wishes himself really lucky. From that point, the issue really focuses on this relationship and kind of antagonism or rivalry between Scrooge McDuck, his uncle, and Donald himself. Scrooge McDuck has always been kind of the wealthy, swimming through gold, sometimes miserly uncle, and Donald here really wants to kind of outclass him, and they basically find a hidden treasure, and Donald finds it based on luck, and from that point, everything just turns up Donald. All his enterprises, all his treasure hunting, everything just falls into his lap. He becomes kind of more of a financial powerhouse than even Scrooge, but he's lost kind of the central heart of it all, because he's lost kind of the essence of the hunt and the thrill of success, because everything is just given to him. That's kind of the ironic twist there. I really liked it overall, though, kind of showcased that it's not about getting everything you want if you don't have kind of the process of it sometimes. I also just like seeing the relationship between Scrooge and Donald on display. Another one I really liked in this collection was because at one point he kind of inadvertently wishes that everyone had his kind of drive or confidence or kind of reckless abandon to believe he can do whatever. And basically the whole town of Duckburg is threatening on total collapse because everyone just believes with this kind of unfounded self-assuredness, as Donald often does, that they can just do whatever. And their ambition kind of oversteps their skill level. Like Daisy wants to fix a pipe, but as she's doing it, she believes she can do it herself, and then she thinks she can repair the whole plumbing line, and then she gets together with all these people that believe they can renovate the whole city. But again, they're not qualified to do any of these things. And this is just one small example of the cascading effect of that wish across the whole town. And Donald Duck's kind of just white-knuckling it until dawn, when a new wish shows up to kind of undo the damage, and hoping that no one's caught in the crossfire. But again, we have so many examples of this throughout this collection. Like I said, there's maybe 4 or 5 different individual stories, but they all showcase kind of the irony with Donald's wishes and how everything just really doesn't work out quite how he'd hoped. One of the things I love too is at the end of this collection, he kind of, I don't know if wishing away the genie is quite what he does, but he does it in such a way that you feel like he's kind of done this in cycles, and I just really liked it. It was all really this fun kind of narrative, ironic bow that wrapped up the whole thing. The whole book felt really good-natured. It was definitely Donald Duck. The showcased characters all felt authentically themselves, and it really just reminded me how much I love these core Disney characters. I did want to spend the last minute of this review looking at the book just talking about the artwork. So the art here has such gorgeous polish on it. Again, all the character models feel authentically these characters. Like, everyone is immediately recognizable, but there's this beauty in the polish kind of coloring or something with this art that it's just so crisp and it jumps right off the page. The printing from Fantagraphics as well is just really good. The glossy paper stock is really felt, and I love the artwork. It's so aesthetically pleasing. And I can't really even define the quality I'm seeing here, but there's just this kind of vibrant polish on everything. Donald Duck has perhaps never looked better, and I just had so much enjoyment making my way through this collection. Yes, the narrative was really fun, but the art is just jaw-dropping all the way through. Magic and Mayhem is definitely a collection I'd recommend to any fan of Donald Duck or these Disney characters in general. If you've been a longtime fan of the Duck comics, I think this definitely deserves to be in your library. At the back of the collection, we really just have kind of a anniversary little solicit for the other collection, and just to commemorate that. And that's really it for this little collection from Fantagraphics. Overall, like I said, I had a ton of fun making my way through Donald Duck, Magic and Mayhem, and now I think all that's left to do is to give this book a grade. For a well above average comic book collection that reminded me why I love this core Disney cast member, the Comic Book Report is happy to give Donald and Duck, Magic and Mayhem a B. I thought that this was a great book for new fans of Donald Duck in comic format, or returning fans that love reading Duck comics. The vibrant and gorgeous art throughout never relents. The writing is all there. I love that we have a central kind of topic of genie wishes, but I love that we have individual little storylines within that. I think all the characterization was perfectly done, and this is one, again, that I would just happily recommend to any Disney fan, Donald Duck fan, comic book fan in general. It really, really shined for me. I enjoyed it quite a bit. But let me know what you think. Have you read or plan on picking up Donald Duck, Magic and Mayhem? And are there other Disney or Donald Duck or Duck comics in general that you'd recommend? I'm newer to this whole world, and I'd love some great recommendations. Thank you so much, and thanks again to Fantagraphics for sending this book over in exchange for an honest review. Until next time, this has been the Comic Book Report. Please don't forget to leave your like, comment, and maybe share this video with a friend. Thanks again for watching, and have a good one.